Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Jackie Marie, and today I'm making a video about the consequences of the healthcare staffing shortage. So, the there are really three um, main consequences of the the staffing shortage within the hospital. The first one is delayed care, like that is the most obvious one. Delayed care. So you have, because of the staffing shortage, and there are a lot of reasons why there is a shortage. Some of it has to do with the jab, some of it has to do with people just retiring, nurses, doctors, people in general retiring, people being burnt out and leaving the field altogether. So there are a lot of reasons why there is a staffing shortage, but the main one recently is the jab. And one of the consequences is delayed care. So I'm reading article after article after article of people waiting in the ER for hours to get a bed, to get seen, just to be treated at all. Of course, we have the medical supply shortage. I made a video about that. So there's a lot going on. Because of the staffing shortage, is and if people do go to the ER or go to the doctor, they're waiting for such a long time that they're leaving. And the delays that they're experiencing is causing, the health conditions to worsen. And then it's also preventing them from seeking care when it is available. They're waiting too long because, like, would you really want to go sit in the ER for a treatment? Like, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to sit in the ER. Now, if it was like emergency, like emergency, I'm going to the ER. But if it's not, then I'm gonna delay it. You know what I'm saying? I might go to urgent care. I might go see my doctor. But the staffing shortage is causing, delay in care in a lot of places. A lot of hospitals are having issues financially, and so they're closing down the ER, or they're closing down the ICU. And of course, if they close down the ER, then if something does happen, the ambulance has to take you to another hospital. Well, who knows where the next hospital is? You understand? And 9 times out of 10, it's farther away. So all all of that is just creating a mess that we're seeing in these hospitals. The second consequence is diagnosis. Uh, I always say it wrong. Diagnostic errors. So it's either people are being diagnosed incorrectly, or the the diagnosis is being delayed. So it's either being missed. So if someone is if they come to the ER for, complaining of stomach pain, it's either their true diagnosis is either being missed, or the diagnosis is being delayed because of the staffing shortage. So what I mean by missed is, they just, so short staffed that they're thinking, oh, it's just, be NPO for a few days, and something like that, when they could be having aortic, like, oh God, what is that called? I always forgot that. It's like an aortic aneurysm. Let's see. I think that's what you called it. Oh God, we see that so much in the hospitals, and I still never understood it. In the ICU, I still just never understood it. I would say it was aortic aneurysm, but it's in your stomach, so it could be a lot of reasons why somebody got stomach pain. It could just not be constipation. Okay, give them a go lightly and think that's the solve the problem. That might not even be it. So it could either be they missed the diagnosis, or the diagnosis is delayed. How many people I have seen who have cancer, and like the doctors would not tell them, and this is before the pandemic. I'm like, why don't they tell, like no one wanted to tell the patient they had cancer, you know? I'm like, why? Because to me, that was always delaying diagnosis. Like, people be there for days, and I know they got cancer, but none of these doctors, nobody wants to tell the patient. I'm like, I never understood that. So, and that was before I mean, it's always been a staffing shortage, really, in the hospital. But but the staffing shortage that we're having now is really, really affecting the diagnosis. And and the third is like the staff is not being respected. So right right I want to say starting last year, started seeing all these articles about making laws to protect, make it like a crime if you attack a healthcare worker. It was like something about this pandemic got these people going crazy. And when I say people, I'm talking about the patients and visitors, and they feel they can put hands on folks, and that's one of the things you're seeing. You're seeing the increase of that because these people are in, I mean, we already know how people are in the hospital anyway. That one of the things I always talk about is people, like one of the hardest things to learn is how to deal with all the personalities, because you have your coworkers, you have the patients. The patients could be assholes normally, like that's they that's their personality, or it could be the medication, or or the family can be um, annoying, or it could just be the stress, because you never know what, like how we're gonna pay for this. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of personalities going on in the hospital. And I think this pandemic just made people lose they mind, and just putting hands on folks. I mean, we had that issue at the hospital in the ICU. Now, not our ICU, because we didn't play that over there. But in the other ICU, they stayed putting hands on the nurses over there. Like, stayed putting hands. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm like, what? I mean, they come. They what? Okay. Cause see, our ICU, we was showed out, but like over there, they stayed putting hands on folks. And then I'm reading article about these, just all this violence in the hospital since the pandemic. Nurses never really. I mean, nurses get. My mom's a nurse, so she tell me a story. The patient swung at me or kicked me, or what I'm saying, like you hear that, but it's just gotten worse. And then I think because of the staffing shortage, people are, the patients are more upset because they're not getting what they need, so they're not getting any medication at, because we know how them people who like the pain meds, let's just put it like that, they be watching the clock. Okay, if it ain't here when it's supposed to be here, like I'm due every 2 hours, and they want it at that 2 hour mark, not 5 minutes after, not, what I'm saying, they want it now. And I don't know, it is, and if it's a staffing shortage, well, the nurse can't get there now, you know what I'm saying? If the medication is due at 6 p.m., they want it at 6 p.m., they don't want it at 6:05. They want it now. And if it's a staffing shortage, the nurse is in another room with a patient or things like that, all hell breaking loose. So just the respect of the staff, of the nurses, it's just it's not there. And these are all consequences of the staffing shortage. So these are just the three that I found. Another thing I wanted to talk about is one of the things that I think, I don't want to say contributed, but just like one of the things I noticed about the pandemic is when they didn't allow visitors. I mean, I understand why they didn't allow visitors, but when they didn't allow visitors, it didn't really, because visitors, like the family, the loved ones, they contribute to the care of the patient. So they ensure, proper medication is administered. They can communicate with the patient, like especially if the patient is pleasantly confused, but they can talk to them. And a lot of people relied on the family and and friends. And then, just by them being there, they also contributed to um, lessening the stress of the healthcare providers. And it lessened it, and in the less, the healthcare provider is stressed, the less medical errors that they made. And I get back to the errors. And I understand, like I said, I understand why they didn't allow visitors during the pandemic. But I think in a way it hurt patient care, and I think it burnt out a lot of nurses. I think it burnt out a lot of staff, a lot of respiratory. I think it just burnt out a lot of people because you're working extra hard to communicate with a patient. Do you understand what I'm saying? That little load that the friends or the family, the visitors would have took off, it was placed on. And then of course on top of that you got a pandemic. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts of the consequences of the staffing shortage. And of course there's a lot more. Um, you know, when you don't have enough secretaries, or when the secretaries are, and of course with that you don't have enough secretaries, and then the nurses are being their own secretary. They're putting in their own orders, they're answering their own phones. Like all that contributes to the delayed care, the errors, and then just the loss of respect. And then of course that has a cycle, and now these nurses don't want to be there, or the staff don't want to be there because they, people talking to them crazy. I mean, we that's what they do, but they doing it more. So I don't know. I don't like where healthcare is going as far as the shortage. I think that if they get rid of that mandate, a lot more people will come back, will be willing to come back. Now they might not go back to the same place. They might feel some kind of way. Um, but I would. I look. I'm a lot of people. I'm pretty sure because a lot of people. Um, that's all they know. You know what I'm saying? All they know is healthcare. And then you have, like, especially all that's licensed and certified, things like that. And then some people, they like helping people. I made a video talking about the reason, like, why would anybody want to be a unit secretary? Because they like helping people. Some people like that. And I don't know. I think once they get rid of this mandate, I don't know what it's gonna take. But I think once they get rid of the mandate, it will start to turn around. But that's my thoughts. You all can put your thoughts in a comment below. And you can also follow me on my blog. It's Jamie Reed Booklets. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.